President Trump said to me yesterday that something will happen on the Middle East. He's convening the Situation Room. He's told 10 million residents of Tehran to evacuate the city. That's not de-escalation. It sounds like an American attack could be imminent. Do you know what's going on?
Well, I don't think you should read into that an American attack is imminent.
He's calling the Security Council together.
We had a 2-hour discussion with the President last night on the Middle East, on this very issue. And
so you're not worried about escalation?
I'm clear that we need to de-escalate.
But are you worried about escalation?
Of course I'm worried about escalation, which is why my focus is on de-escalation. I'm worried about escalation in the region and the impact it would have in the region. I'm worried about the impact it would also have on Gaza, and I'm very pleased that the focus now is also on a ceasefire in Gaza, which I want to press for in coming days as well, but also the impact it's having on our economy.
Starmer presents diplomatic language as proof of control, but Rigby's records highlight how little London can influence Washington's next action. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Prime Minister, as a former prosecutor, you brought first prosecutions for child rapists 15 years ago. I just want to put that on record, your record. But your decision now to hold an inquiry into grooming gangs after refusing 6 months ago to do so has sparked anger. Keir Starmer says you owe victims an apology. That irritates you, doesn't it? You don't think you do owe anyone an apology, do you?
Well, my frustration is on those that don't focus on the victims. I won't go over the last 15 years, but I brought the first prosecution 15 years ago in relation to these grooming cases. I then changed all the guidelines in criminal justice.
So does this irritate you?
I then called for mandatory
Does it irritate you that people are accusing you of not dealing with the situation?
I try to remain courteous at all times, but when politicians who were themselves in power, such as Keir Starmer, and did absolutely nothing. When people like me were calling for mandatory reporting, but that fell on deaf ears. So I stand on my record, the people who did absolutely nothing when they had the opportunity. But I do on the national inquiry, because it is important. That needs to go wherever the evidence takes it.
And I'm going to come on to that. I want to come on to that. But before I do, I just need to do this with you. You accuse politicians like Badenoch of jumping on a bandwagon for the far right. Was that misjudged to put it in those terms? Do you wish you hadn't said that now?
I was really clear that I was talking about politicians.
I know, I just said that.
Yeah, and I do think that those politicians need to answer the question, which is why, when you were in power and had the opportunity to do something,
but do you wish you hadn't conflated it with right-wing bandwagon, because that's not what people's concerns about grooming gangs weren't necessarily right-wing. Do you sort of wish you hadn't said it?
I don't. I've never implied that other people with genuine concerns, and certainly not victims. I've been working with victims. I've seen firsthand.
The PM rewrites his policy shift as continuity of victim-first leadership, but Rigby reveals the linguistic pressure between past rejection and present adoption.
Okay. Those calling for an inquiry had a point, though, didn't they? Because Casey's findings are stark. Disproportionate numbers of Asian men responsible for child sex grooming gangs. But her words, do-gooders, were trying to cover stuff up for fear of being branded racist. Do you recognise that? And who are the do-gooders?
Well, I absolutely recognise what Louise Casey wrote in her report. I've read every word of it. It's why I've decided there needs to be a national inquiry. But also, because of those words, I'm clear that inquiry must go wherever the evidence is.
Who are the do-gooders?
Well, I mean, that's Louise Casey's word. She will answer that for you. I can tell you in terms, because I had 7,000 staff when I was chief prosecutor, I was very clear that ethnicity should not play a part in any of the decisions that we took. I can't answer for other people, but I do recognise that if we're going to have a national inquiry...
But you think some people didn't behave like you did?
Well, look, that's the concern, and we need to be open about that.
And that was your experience when you were prosecuting people?
Well, my experience was slightly different, because the case there was assumptions were being made about the reliability of some of these witnesses, which were completely wrong, which is why I changed the system.
Starmer signals a preparedness to face racial patterns without fanning cultural war fires by trying to blend colourblind justice with culturally specific facts. Make sure you like and subscribe.
No stone unturned, and this is where you have led me, because I really want to ask you this. Perpetrators have been prosecuted by you, but no one in institutions have lost their jobs. Counsellors, social workers, policemen, civil servants, people that were meant to protect these vulnerable young women, these girls, They have not been prosecuted. It cannot sit easily with you. Do you want prosecutions to flow from it? Would that help with public trust?
Where the inquiry uncovers failure or wrongdoing, then there absolutely should be accountability. And that is amongst the purposes of an inquiry. And it's a statutory inquiry, as you know, which will therefore mean there's power to compel evidence and witnesses, because it's important that it is comprehensive. It's important that it gets to every single issue. And as part of that process, there's accountability for individuals who did wrong.
Okay, PM, I'm out of time, but you're about to be Prime Minister for 1 year. So very quickly, one word answers. Can you tell viewers the one thing you're most proud of and your biggest mistake?
Well, I think that the inquiry needs to go where the evidence takes it. But then, in answer to your question, there must be accountability.
Right.
Because that is the reason that we need to leave no stone unturned. So I'm not going to say here X, Y, Z.
What's your instinct?
Needs to be taken. My instinct is there must be accountability.
So you're happy for social workers? You think these people should be held accountable? Social workers, policemen, people that failed?
The PM supports institutional reckoning but maintains personal responsibility as hypothetical. This leaves victims hoping but disappointed until cases come forward.
Prime Minister for 1 year. So very quickly, one word answers. Can you tell viewers the one thing you're most proud of and your biggest mistake?
Well, amongst the things I could do a whole list, but I'm really proud that a year ago probably I was interviewed by you and I said we'd do 2 million extra appointments in the NHS in the first year of a Labour government. We've now done 3 million and waiting lists are coming down. There's a whole list of other things that I could probably go on about for a very, very long time. In terms of mistakes, look, I think that we haven't always told our story as well as we should, explained our decisions in the way that might in retrospect have been better, but that's the nature of politics. I suppose the story at the end of the first year is this. We had to clear up the mess, and the first year was really about that. But as we now turn into the second year with the spending review, now's the time we can show that having cleared up that mess, taken those tough but necessary decisions, now you can see in the spending review with the investment we're making in our public services, in our infrastructure, in our jobs, apprentices, you name it, you can see the difference that the Labour government makes.
Okay, Prime Minister, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Starmer presents competency hampered only by narrative, an implicit call for patience as policies evolve by highlighting delivery data while recognising messaging faults. Rigby's reordered interrogation reveals a leader trying to project stability while negotiating the tensions of real-time crises and retroactive course corrections, contrasting Starmer's de-escalation optimism, verbal reversals on grooming gangs, and cautious assurances of accountability. Let's know what you think down below in the comments.